Okay, so today you're going to learn something about two-dimension kinematics. I'm going to throw this baseball, Basil's going to catch it, and that's about the whole deal here.
We're calculating the velocity of the baseball. As you can see, that's a baseball.
Alright, so we're going to find the velocity of the baseball. The baseball is thrown from a higher point than when it's caught. So it has a horizontal velocity and a vertical velocity. The distance between the two baseballs is approximately 13.41 meters. That's the x-axis compared to the y-axis. Y is the vertical and x is the horizontal. So let's get a few measurements down. The initial x is equal to 0 meters. The x final is equal to 13.41 meters. The velocity of x initially equals the velocity of x in the final position. Since the velocities don't change in the x direction, the acceleration is equal to 0 meters per second squared. The time the ball takes to travel from the initial to final is equal to 0.55 seconds. Now let's get our y values done. Y starts out initially at 1.86 meters. Y final is 1.74 meters. The initial velocity in the y direction is equal to 0 meters per second, and the final velocity in the y direction we will find using our kinematic equations. The acceleration in the y direction, as always, is negative 9.8 meters per second squared because of gravity. Alright, so let's find our initial velocity and our final velocity using the kinematic equations. So we're going to use the kinematic equation x of final minus x of initial equals velocity of initial times time plus half the acceleration in the x direction times time squared. So we take our values from up top, so 13.41 meters minus 0 meters equals velocity in the x direction, since we don't know that, 0.55 seconds, plus half, acceleration is 0, and 0.55 squared. Since this is 0, this whole side is going to cancel out and equal 0. So it's going to be 13.41 meters equals velocity in the x direction times 0.55 seconds. So velocity in the x direction is going to equal 24.38 meters per second. Alright, so now let's find the velocity in the final velocity in the y direction using our kinematic equation. We're going to use velocity in the final equals velocity of initial of y plus acceleration times time. So we're trying to find the velocity of final. So we take our initial velocity, which is 0 meters per second, plus our acceleration, negative 9.8 meters per second squared, times our time of 0.55 seconds. Our velocity in the final is equal to negative 5.39 meters per second. Because the acceleration is negative, it indicates the downward direction of the ball, as shown above in the diagram. Alright, so let's find the total velocity of the ball using both the velocity in the x direction and the velocity in the y direction. And to do this, we're going to use Pythagorean Theorem. So the ball's velocity going to the right horizontally is 24.38, and the velocity going downward is 5.39. Why is it positive now? Because of the downward direction. And this velocity is what we're trying to find. So v of f. So the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So in this case, we're going to use vox squared plus voy squared is going to equal v of final squared. So this equation was already done, but we'll plug in the numbers. 24.38 squared plus 5.39 squared equals v final. So v, or velocity in the final direction, is 24.97 meters per second. That, right there, is how you find the velocity of the baseball.